Welcome to the That's So Craven podcast, your Fulhamish podcast from down under. We're here to review the Nottingham Forest fixture last night, where Fulham had a very comfortable and dominant win at 2-0, as you probably all know. We're missing one of our friends today. Jack's on paternity leave for an extended break down in the beautiful southwest of Western Australia, drinking some wine and eating some food. I'm going to shout him out, and he's probably banned from actually participating in this, but I'm going to shout him out and just to see if he is listening, because I think he probably can't help himself, and I reckon we'll probably get some comments from him along the way. But let's just test that theory. But I'm here with Sam. How you doing, Sam?
Hello, the other sibling. I'm good. I'm here and I'm ready to get deep into this on like the live. I can feel the chaos brewing. I'm here for it. Let's go.
Okay. So, thinking a little bit about what happened last night, if I can only just control this slideshow. As I said before, we had nope. We're jumping ahead. This is going to be chaotic as our producer is clearly not in the house.
I'm loving it. It's great.
Yeah, so I'm not loving it actually, because this is really jumping around like hell. But anyway, we'll go with it. So we had, as I said, we had a great outing last night where we had two really rather special goals. Sam's just amused at me trying to work out what the hell's going on producing and actually talking over the top of this. Two really rather special goals from Willian and Manasolum getting on the board for the first time. What are your thoughts, Sam? How did you feel we went last night?
We covered it before, and you were trying to tell me that this was going to be a gritty, intense kind of game. I thought we were very dominant from start to finish. I feel that it was a really, really, really strong showing, and I feel like it was a very important win for us in terms of really kind of hammering home the fact that this team's level of consistency and like what we're bringing to the table. And then Manor Solomon essentially having that moment for me was just cherry on top in terms of like long-term goals, and no pun intended, for like what we're essentially aiming for. Yeah, it's like subtext wise, awesome game.
So I don't have a slide for the starting lineup here, but based on what we talked about the other day in previewing this game, I think the only contentious position was whether or not Manasolum would start. How did you feel about him not being selected to start and Bobby Decordova-Reid taking up his normal place?
You know, I think we need to almost change our tune a little bit, because we always assume that he's going to be starting on the right, and I think we all want that. We kind of are very attached to that idea, but he's clearly favors the left, and every time he's played, he has basically played on like the left. So I feel that we need to concede that that is the position for Manasolum, and really it's between Bobby and Harry Wilson on the right there. I think that's fine, and I'm a big advocate for like playing players in their preferred positions as opposed to just trying to shoehorn them in. And it kind of works because Willian's older, and so he can't necessarily play like the full 90 minutes in the same way that he used to. So I feel that it was the perfect opportunity for him, and to come on and essentially show his worth. He's had enough minutes now, and if his role at the moment is a super sub and maybe doing a couple of like FA Cup appearances, getting a full 90 minutes, at this stage I'm happy with that. But just because Willian is so good and he's so good, and I feel that Willian has an aura about him that I kind of want him to play more at the moment. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I was just wondering where you're going with all of that, really. But I think it is pretty funny that we we've become very attached to the idea that Solomon's going to start, and he doesn't.
No, we're
And
attached to the idea that he's going to start on the right.
yeah, but he's not even starting. So,
Yeah.
But look, I think Bobby Decordova-Reid and Kenny Tete combining just so well that it's hard to argue against that little combination. It's an absolute winner, and so no complaints at all. Happy with all of that. How did you think we started? What did you think of the first 30, 40 minutes?
Well, first 40 minutes is a very different question to how we started, because I think for like the first 10 minutes it was a pretty even affair. Like Bobby Dot blocked that really, like he blocked that attempt from Gustavo Scarpa, which is an amazing name, just if I can say one thing about it. I thought Bobby actually did really, really well to actually get back into position and get back into defending when essentially Gustavo was like unmarked. And then literally 6 minutes later, Willian did a sensational a sensational curl into the top corner, like just picture perfect off his left foot. Just such a beautiful example of what that goal is supposed to be. He's just class, isn't he? He's just straight class.
Now, let's have a look at that. We can get another one for him, but here's William with a header down for Polina on the turn. It was blocked.
Actually, why don't we not look at that? I'm having a lot of trouble here, actually. I'm not quite sure why, but I've got a massive delay on what's sitting in front of me here. Let me just try that again. Here we go. Maybe not. Come on, you know you want to.
That's okay. Also, while you're getting that ready, hi William and hi Reese. Love to see you guys. You guys are integral members to this live session now. Always good to see your faces, or your writing in this case.
Yeah, I've got a massive delay on here, but let's see if that works this time. Nope. Yep, here we go. Or not. Come on, William. You know, you stop teasing me. Okay, look.
Well, let's get at Torre now and see if we can get another one for him. But here's William with a header down for Polina on the turn. It was blocked. Bobby Decordova-Reid. The angle was too tight. It's back across the box. Here's William again. Works it onto the right foot, back onto the left foot, goes for goal. What a goal! Absolute worldie from William. 1-0 to Fulham. What a lovely goal. They were trying to clear their lines, desperately trying to get the ball out of their box.
Yeah, it's just great.
Yeah,
it's like he's just class. He's just that cut above. Yeah, and like William actually in the chat mentions a really, really good point. It's just having someone in the side that just truly backs themselves, has so much composure and confidence. He's just so invaluable to us at the moment. I'm really, really loving the redemption arc of William. I don't know. How do you feel?
Oh, look, and my apologies to viewers and listeners there. I think that actually when that comes out live, it may be better than what I'm viewing here on this side, but nevertheless, look, it's an unbelievable story, and I cannot believe how fortunate we are to have him on board. He's something else, and you know it's not just his skill. He's this guy's got a brain. He's a very, very smart footballer, and his brain twitches at light speed, and his trickery and ability to actually, you know, put defenders on the floor with very, very clever movement of his body and just dropping his hips, and it's just great to watch. It's one thing to be very, very skillful, but it's another thing to be really tricky. and we've just not had that in our arsenal for really as long as I can remember in recent years. I can't think of a player, and I feel like Manor Solomon is another one of those kinds of players
Yeah, I'd
who
agree.
is just so tricky, and when running at defenders, it's just another level. It's great to watch. It's great entertainment, and it's just you know it's very very dangerous stuff.
The only one I can
So
think of
yeah,
is maybe Dembele. Dembele was probably the last time we had
yeah,
somebody of that level of quality, I reckon.
high quality, but I think Willian's trickier.
Mm.
And Solomon again. I think he's actually trickier. Dembele is super classy. I wouldn't even want to compare the two because I'm not sure they're the same. The same mold. Ah, here we go. Here's someone. I knew it wouldn't take long.
Yeah.
Um, there's a nice little comment coming in there from someone you're related to.
Yeah. Backseat
Uh,
producing.
yeah, actually, if you want to jump on Jack and produce this proper, I'll be fine with that because this thing's out of control.
So is our chemistry,
Anyway,
though, you know?
yeah. So Jack asked the question. I'm pretty sure Jack's at dinner with his family, and I think we're the only ones who actually know what he's doing here because he's in big trouble if he gets caught doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pretty funny. So
Hopefully
Jack
this
asked
doesn't
the
go live.
question: Is but then again, his wife Tegan is never likely to ever view this, so he's probably pretty safe. Um, is Williams' goal the best you've ever seen from a Fulham player? Got to be up there. I think that's a pretty big call, but it was very, very beautiful. It was sublime, not least on his left foot. There's nothing looks better when there's a defender being put on the floor. He turns
Mm.
onto his wrong foot, and with players in front of him and chaos in the box. I mean, remembering that just a couple of seconds earlier, there'd been sort of shots and misses, and there's just chaos happening in the box. And he just takes his time, drops him on the floor, swings to his left foot, and curls it into the top left corner with not a lot to spare. I mean,
Mm.
no chance for the keeper, completely out of reach. And that was very, very special.
That's the thing that I also love about it as well. Like, you're right. I feel that like when Willian plays, you can literally see it. His head is up the entire game, and he has so much like faith in his ability, and also he's just so composed. Like that goal, like 90% of other players would essentially see an entirely full blocks and be completely like panicked by that situation. Willian just goes, I can take a shot here, and I know I can, and he just does it. But like you say, like we laugh, but that is really the difference in terms of like composure and quality at the level that he is at. And we can have this similar conversation about Manor Solomon a little bit later as well.
Well, can we? I mean, what we're also talking about here is, Williams very experienced. He's done it all. He's played at the highest level for that mob down the road, and incredibly successfully. He's done it for his country, which is, no minor feat. And yeah, I think that creates an awful lot of just sublime confidence. And I think he's truly enjoying his second, third crack at, probably something he never thought he'd get another opportunity to do. He's loving life. He's probably incredibly grateful what he just walked away from. He's absolutely enjoying being, so appreciated,
London.
I think.
Yeah,
Well,
back in
so
London.
appreciated.
Yeah. No, I think enjoying is exactly the right word. Like he clearly is so elated at the moment. Like he really is. He feels so at home, and you can see it's nice when you see a player really at peace in their position in a squad, like how they're playing, and he's just the type of player that just benefits from that kind of environment so much. Like to think that that's the same player that couldn't make it work at Arsenal. Like I know Arsenal had like their issues at the time, but it's still a pretty elite level squad. If you can't make Willian work at Arsenal when like we're making him work and doing this, that just says so much about the team and the environment there at that time. Obviously, it's changed now, but yeah, it's so nice to see.
Yeah, and this could easily turn out to be the in praise of Willian show. We probably should move on. I'm loving it, but
well, I don't want to go into Mitrovic just yet because that's gonna make it a roller coaster of a show, isn't it?
What I thought I'd do here is actually make a second attempt at actually playing this video. I've got a little highlights reel of this is going to go to shit. We all know it, but I'm going to have a go. This is a little highlights reel of courtesy of Fulham Football Club of some of the incredible shots on goal that didn't quite make it, and it includes an incredible save, yet another one in the 6-yard box from that man Bert Leno. So let's have a look.
Pushes it to the edge of the box for Mitrovic, onto the left foot, turns back onto the right foot. Oh, it's a great save. High for lead play from the Fulham throw. The referee's let it go though. Mangala in possession, finds Joe Worrell. Good interception from Pereira though for Fulham. Squares it for Bobby Decordova-Reid, goes for goal with his right foot. Well, it's off the crossbar. I'm not sure if the keeper touched it. I don't think he did. To be impeded, the referee didn't think so, and that's another brilliant tackle from Tim Ream. Morgan Gibbs-White couldn't believe that he came and nicked that off him. There's Willian now onto his right foot. Oh, it's hit the woodwork, has it? Or did the keeper save that?
Hit the post.
Hit the post, I think, yeah.
They get through so much work.
Yeah, they really do. And he's won the free kick. Pereira's going to go for goal. Oh, has that hit the woodwork as well? Pushes it out of the penalty area. Right-hand side, but they've still got possession. Here's Shelvey. Whips another ball in. Great header, great save.
Now, before we started the podcast, I thought I was going to host. And one of the questions I actually did have for your dad was, who do you reckon is the bigger threat at the moment, Brentford or the crossbar for Fulham?
Yeah, good question. I mean, look, that's if you're actually hitting that many on target, it's disappointing and a bit frustrating, but you can't be unhappy with that because on any other day, 9 times out of 10, they're going in, even on a deflection. And my biggest thought or takeaway from the first half, to be honest, was, is this going to be another one of those days where we've been absolutely dominant but haven't executed particularly well? And we could easily have gone in at halftime, or possibly should have gone in at halftime, 3-0 up, maybe more. And that's not a criticism. That's just a bit of a rub of the green, because we were incredibly dominant for what looked to me, it had a funny feel about it. Forest had a very Fulham post that £100 million splurge a couple of years ago with, a lot of expensive players, but really not much to show from it in terms of a cohesive team. That's how it felt to me. Like I sort of, we were rightful to be respectful of them coming into this game because they've had a great run since Christmas. They've spent a lot of money and they've got some good players. But once again, in a very Chelsea-esque kind of a way, they really, when push comes to shove, I thought they were pretty ordinary.
Yeah,
as a team.
Well, like for me, and it's getting a little bit further on into the game. At halftime, I was thinking a certain thing, and then at the 60-minute mark, when I believe it was Chris Wood basically just hoofed it into like the back end of like the stadium. At that point, I was like, well, they're not going to score. So in my brain, I was like, either we go 2-0 up, or in my brain, we actually have missed a serious opportunity to show that we are top quality. Because from that point onwards, I was like, there is no way that they're attacking threat is essentially going to pierce us right now. Because I thought our defense was actually really, really tight and really, really solid. Also, like Tim Ream had like a blinder. And they just had nothing. You could kind of see it in the first half, but you never really fully know until like you're probably dealing with like the 60 minutes, because games can turn. But at no point in that game did I feel that Nottingham Forest had really any legitimate chance of scoring, aside from John Joe Shelby's cross that Leno just expertly denied.
Well, yeah, let's come to that a bit later. Obviously, John Joe Shelby's introduction was a bit of a turning point, really, because he had a massive impact. He created an awful lot and started to actually his setups were actually starting to open us up, and that did make me a fraction anxious. But I mean, back to the point, I just felt that once again, were we unlucky? Were we just executing poorly? I'm going to say we're actually a bit unlucky, because I think with that number of shots of really high quality, hitting the crossbar, hitting the uprights, that's not a lack of shots on target. That's just a bit unlucky. So it's probably unfair to press too hard on that. So at halftime, sorry, Sam.
I was just about to ask you a question as well, because I feel that this game, I would say Mitrovic had quite an unlucky one, because I do kind of agree with you. I feel that when I believe it was Harrison whipped it in for him, and he just jumped a little bit too early, and then so he kind of fluffed that and was noticeably very like shaken with himself. And then before that, he had that shot that he actually gave himself a decent amount of time to kind of like compose himself, but then Navas saved. Like, I feel that next week it's probably going to we're probably going to have questions of just being like, how is Mitro's confidence? Today I can accept that he was unlucky. Do you think it was unlucky, or do you reckon it was a confidence issue today with Mitrovic?
Look, I want to feel and I want to think that whilst I think Mitrovic, his confidence is a fragile thing. I think it is. But I think he does have a huge amount of self-belief. I know that's a contradictory statement. And I think the team, the dressing room, Silva, if he does anything well, he's a great supporter of men. And I think he's a guy that makes people believe. And, I think Mitrovic it's not like he had no impact on the game. He did some very good things.
No,
he actually was part of 2 or 3 really good pieces of play in the first half. And again, because he's developed that additional part to his game, he can, if it's not working for him, if he's not getting the service, he can drop deep, pick up the ball, spread it around, and actually be part of it. It's not like he's not contributing at all. And I think we as fans have probably come to expect Mitro to just be scoring goals all the time. And I think the team itself have moved on from that. And I think there's huge appreciation for all the things he does.
I agree.
And so I don't think that people are feeling like, why is he getting selected every week? Surely someone else needs to be given a go. I don't think there's that feeling. I think the problem is he's suffering from the shadow of scoring so many goals that when you aren't on the scoreboard, people start asking questions. But it's probably a little bit unfair to be loading that on him all the time.
Yeah, of course. I actually thought he actually played really, really well, and just his shots were just unlucky. That's kind of my point. Because, I completely agree. I think his hold-up play is really, really good. I think he adds quite a lot to the midfield when he does track back. And he isn't a forward that essentially just stays forward and doesn't necessarily do that much. He really aids essentially everything the team is trying to do. But yeah, I just feel for him when he just misses his shots, especially in the past couple of outings as well.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest. Fair play to the keeper. It was a good save. On any other day, that's a goal. That Mitro shot, and he did pretty well because he was pretty patient. He went left, and then he went right to set himself up for a fairly clear shot, and the keeper's done really well. So fair play. Okay, so we go in at halftime 1-0 up, as always. A bit of a broken record on that, but I'm feeling it's not enough, it's not enough, it's not enough. And then we come out. And how do you think we came out and started the second half, Sam?
Yeah, I do think that we did kind of open ourselves up a little bit to Nottingham Forest, almost kind of, I don't want to say like begging them to kind of like do something, but I feel around about the 60-minute mark is typically when most teams would put subs on, which is what Nottingham Forest did as well. And so there's always that 10-minute gap before Silva usually makes subs, because he kind of likes to make subs like 70 minutes plus, where essentially we're playing a team that's a lot more energized than us and can kind of create more. Fortunately, when our subs came on, Manor Solomon is just great, isn't he? I really like him. I really like what he does. Like, obviously he's got like really great composure, and he did exactly what I thought he was going to do. He just ripped a ripper of a shot. But like, there was a couple of runs that they did where I was just like, it just glides through people, and like he's so, talk about tricky players. Jesus, it's like a flea just like running around people. He's so skillful. He's like one of those players that like literally, it almost just looks like the ball is glued to their foot, like he just.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love the whole story with him. He's obviously had a pretty tough couple of years, not only the last 6 months of a very, very nasty and serious injury that he's had to get over and come back from, and put a lot of hard work in and rehab, and he's done that very well. But obviously prior to that, he was, stuck in a war zone, and with his future and career very much in doubt. And obviously that's not a pleasant thing from so many different perspectives. But he's clearly got a really great little following. There's a bunch of people out there that follow him so hard and want him to do so well. It's actually really lovely.
Oh, and
yeah, absolutely. But I think he not that he's different to any other professional footballer, but he's clearly very passionate about what he does, and he's so keen to do well. And where Marco Silva's so careful in his reintroduction of players, whether they be coming back from injury or new signings, you just don't blast back into this Fulham side just because. It just doesn't happen. Yeah. And so that that's a really difficult thing, because you have to take your little opportunities that you get in your 5 minutes, then your 10 minutes, then your 15 minutes, and you've got to grab it with both hands and do well. And obviously those two cup ties with Sunderland came at a perfect moment for him to get some really important time and be ready for a much bigger part. And he's done it so well. And then to cap that off with a high quality goal, just perfect. It's a great story. And you're just hoping now that is the point at which Silva now strongly believes in him, and I don't know that Silva didn't believe in him, but now strongly believes he's a real contender to start. I think what the great thing is that we now actually have a handful of pretty interesting options on the wing. Is Harry Wilson? Is Harry Wilson coming back? Is he there yet? I mean, that's another question I wanted to ask you. But I would say, if you look at BDR, Willian, of course, and now Manor Solomon, really, really in great form with Dan James, always an option in the back. Happy days, and we've got a very fortunate position here.
Yeah, I mean,
on that point, Sam.
Yeah.
Give me your sense and feelings on Wilson's contribution. I know he only came off the bench, but how did you feel about his performance last night?
I'm really. I don't like comparing Harry Wilson and Solomon because I kind of do love them both equally, even though one's a lot fresher in the mind than the other. But yeah, I don't want to speak ill, but they've actually arrived back at very similar times in very similar positions. You can almost actually argue that Harry Wilson's a lot more established in the squad than Manor Solomon is. And I understand that people are different and players are different. And it's just really, really interesting, isn't it, to see a player like Manor Solomon come into the squad so confident and so self-assured and really kind of treating it like this is my time. And Harry Wilson just struggling to essentially re-find the Harry Wilson-ness. I don't want to say he played bad, but he just wasn't really there. I feel like he hasn't really been there for a while. I actually just really feel for him because I know he when you see somebody trying so hard to do the best that they can, that they kind of just everything that they do just becomes filled with doubt, and they're just because they're not acting on instinct and confidence, and that's really kind of happening with him. He was there last night, but I just didn't really notice him. And yeah, if you compare it to what Solomon did when he came on with only 18 minutes as well, he's just great. He's so great.
Well, I think it would be unfair to say that he's not improving, because I think Harry Wilson is improving, but I think the rate at which he's improving is probably just not enough at the moment. It's enough to earn a spot on the bench for sure, and he's definitely being preferred to Dan James, and I think that's perfectly fair at the moment. But if you compare the return of Manor Solomon to Harry Wilson, I think there's a quality difference, and it's undeniable. And there's also here, Manor Solomon just adds something very different that Wilson will never be. That he's just not that kind of a player.
That's harsh.
No, I don't think it is. He's just not. He's not that kind of tricky winger. He's a much more orthodox, left-footed winger. I don't think I'm being harsh. I'm just sort of comparing the two in terms of what they offer. If you were a manager, that is probably how you're going to see it. Having said all of that, let's not forget Wilson's contribution to the Manor Solomon's goal. And I'm going to have another attempt to play yet another highlight. I really hope these things coming out live are actually better than what I'm viewing here on my monitor, because I've got a massive delay. But
you get one more attempt at doing this, and then we have to just get by on just raw personality.
Look, I'm going to play because I want to feature Manor Solomon's goal. So I'm just going to click this, hope for the best, and note the contribution of Harry Wilson in the build-up play, because he does this really great little flick. Probably drew a yellow card there, but I think the ref got caught up in the play and couldn't be bothered actually pulling that up. But
winning ways. Having drawn one and lost two of our last three in the league. There's a foul on Harry Wilson again. He lets play go on. Kenny Tetty finds Pereira, right foot. Here's Manor Solomon.
Yes! Get in there!
Well, I had a feeling he might get his first Fulham goal when they introduced him. Something inside me, I thought he might be the kid to make the difference. He hasn't scored yet, but he's finished that one with aplomb.
Ugh, my little Star of David.
You always know when there's a little break in Jim's voice that something special is happening. When he gets that little croak going, you know that he's really moved by it. Gotta love it. I do miss Gentleman Jim's commentary, I must admit. But yeah, so to tie that up, if Harry Wilson's contribution there was small but very significant. And so I think you've got to give him some credit. That's Premier League level awareness that, and those little mini moments end up resulting in goals. I mean, let's also talk about the fact that Kenny Tete once again is involved on the overlap.
I love that. He just swatted him off like he was a toddler as well. It was great.
Pereira's calm under pressure. When, as one of the things I heard on one of the tweets, the whole hammy end was shouting, "Shoot, shoot, shoot!" and he actually calmly spots Manor Solomon to his left, and passes it, squares it wide to him, and Manor Solomon gives the keeper the eye, sends him the wrong way, and finishes beautifully. And did you see the ecstasy on Solomon's face when he scores? It was really good to watch. It's that release where you could just see the whole story of like, thank God.
Yeah, just like care, just genuine, it's always nice when it just clearly means a lot to like players as well. I feel that if you compare like somebody like Willian is now starting to like really celebrate his goals, but when he first like started scoring, it was a little bit kind of like, oh yeah, like I know what I'm doing. I'm supposed to score those goals. That's how I roll. Now he's like properly enjoying it. And then if you compare that to like Solomon or Vinicius as well, just intense elation, just being like, yes, finally. It's just good to see. It's just good to have that in your team, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jack, apparently having a palmy and whatever. What did you have? Palmy and a pint. Shout out to Shelter Brew down in the southwest as well. There apparently. So Sam, unless you've got any other comments, I thought we might jump on to the Elton's top tweets section here. You ready to go?
Yeah, I do have I've got two comments. One
go.
is Reese here. Reese is saying, now that we are safe from relegation, bit forward, what do we need to do in order to push forward next season? What do you reckon, Dan?
Well, one of the tweets, or a collection of tweets actually, that I was going to cover does touch on that subject. That 34 points. I think only one team in the last 7 years has been relegated on 34 points and above. So technically, we're moving into the zone where people are starting to be comfortable voicing and believing that we're now safe. Personally, I'm happy to put my chin out and actually say I think we are safe, because I don't know what it would take for us to not win a game from here on in. I cannot conceive that is possible and that's going to happen. I guess never say never. But I just don't believe that we're not going to pick up, quite a considerable number of points. So I think we are in a position where we need to think that we are staying up. Well done, Marco Silva and the team. But I think I think what it means is that once we can begin to believe that we're safe, and we have to start thinking about the summer transfer window, because that's how we probably take this on to the next level. And it's a matter of who we think we need to to buy. There's a little tweet coming up that I'm going to talk about as well, which is a really interesting. What am I trying to say? If this rumor is true, it probably says an awful lot about where we think we're going next season. I don't want to blow it away before I cover it, but bear with me, please, Reese, and I'll cover that in a sec.
So also as well, like while you're just getting that up as well, just really, really quickly, we finally saw the introduction of Sasa Lukic as well. Interestingly, though, I saw that he came on for Pereira, whereas I thought he was actually going to be playing a more center mid role. So it's actually interesting that Silva sees him more in that light. So I don't know. I just
my understanding was one of the really attractive things about Sasa Lukic as a signing is that he can play all three roles. Obviously, the role that we were very, very keen to fill is a replacement backup for Polinia stroke Harrison Reed. Not really for Tom Cairney, but he can play a defensive, central, and attacking midfield role. And pretty interesting to see him be used in his first outing in an attacking role. And I mean that, if that tree turns out to be what he offers, what a great signing.
It actually does make more sense. Like I just didn't think about it before it happened.
Well, it's I guess we're yet to see that he can do that at Premier League level and do it successfully. And if that does transpire, that's an incredible signing because we end up with another Bobby Decordova-Reid in terms of what we like to call our Swiss Army knife in the side, and we've got two utility players that can actually cover a number of positions. That is something pretty special.
No, completely agree. Silva's just smart, isn't he? He's just smart. Yeah,
really clever. Really clever.
You got your tweet ready? You got your tweet ready? I'm ready.
Yeah. So here we go. So firstly, I want to shout out to Peter Rutzler. Peter, most of you, if not all of you, will know is part of the Fulhamish team and a regular contributor of all things Fulham. I thought Peter tweets all during the game with really helpful updates for people who aren't watching it live. And his full-time summary says Fulham 2, Forest 0. Silva's team win again. Forest battled back well in the second half, but Fulham won it and come away with the points and another clean sheet and 4 points from the last 8 games now. And what I wanted to highlight really was the importance of that clean sheet and the fact that this is a turnaround from a lot of people were sort of jumping on the fact that we haven't won a game for, what was it, 3, 4 outings. To be fair, we played some fairly handy opposition in that time. And if you went back even 6 weeks, we probably wouldn't have expected to get many points out of that. And so, returning with both a clean sheet and points hopefully marks a little bit of a turning point for our next few games. And thanks again to Peter Rutzler for all his contribution. I've got 3 tweets here which sort of cover off on two of them talk. Well, the first one. Why don't I just talk through them? The first one is by I'll just talk through them. First one's by the River, who is also a very active contributor on Twitter, and he actually refers to a tweet from PPG Profit, who shows some stats that I can't really read with my glasses at this point. But the comment here is, and the essence of the comment is this the first time we're mathematically safe from relegation based on these forecasts. And so it's really covering off on the fact that we've now got 34 points, and we should be good to go. There's another, I think it's a retweet actually from who is that? God, I can't even see. It's another one from By the River, and he's retweeted something from Sky Sports, which is an interesting little fact that Fulham, since Christmas Day, have accumulated the second highest points, second only to Man United, which is interesting because Brentford is very much lauded as actually top of the table in terms of points scoring since Christmas or since the World Cup. I think it's 2023. So that was an interesting stat. And then one from a contributor called Dale. I think his handle is Deloraine FSC. It says the Solomon strike today makes it 12 different Premier League scorers for Fulham. Is this the team? And this is the team that supposedly rely entirely on Mitro. And I thought that was a really interesting point because, the little graphic I've got up here shows Newcastle on 12 and Fulham on 11, Leeds on 11. But that was prior to last night's game. So we're now sitting on in fact, 13. If you add Manor Solomon and Williams' goals there. So whilst we were discussing earlier that obviously Mitro is going through a bit of a quiet patch, the reason why we're doing so well is that there's a lot of people contributing to goals. And I think unless you've got Haaland up front, you better be having that. And the next tweet I've got here is from Fulham Fan News, who obviously a massive contributor on Twitter, and it's a retweet from USMNT only, and it really highlights the game and season once again that Tim Ream is having. And it says Ream had a brilliant game today. He's been class all season, but today you could see the confidence oozing through him. And it says 35-year-old Tim Ream in Fulham's 2-0 win against Nottingham Forest. 74 touches, 55 out of 61% passing, 1 key pass, 8 from 11 long balls, 1 dribble, 1 foul drawn, 4 out of 4 duels won, 2 tackles, 3 interceptions, 4 clearances, and like a fine wine with a little icon of a nice glass of red, which is very, very apt. He had an amazing game.
I want to touch on. Can I touch on that point?
Yeah, of course.
So Tim Ream, I think, has become he's hilarious for me now because like full disclosure, I had a meeting with HR today because I did a TikTok about player ratings, and then the guys got angry with me because they thought my player ratings were wrong. Specifically, one about Tim Ream. Now, I have just come to expect a certain level of excellence with Tim Ream now, that to the point where when he has a brilliant game, I literally just don't notice it as much because I just expect him to always be brilliant now. He's actually lulled me into a state of just expecting him to be incredible. How hilarious is that?
Well, it's actually very true, and I think I think the same is becoming true of Robinson. Kenny Tete obviously had a massive game a couple of weeks ago, and there's a lot of love spilling over for him. But not a lot of commentary really last night, given that, I suppose Willian and Manor Solomon shone so brightly. But Kenny Tete had an absolutely great game last night.
Yeah, he had a great game. But you just don't notice it as much.
Yeah, well, how good is that? That's really starting to say something about how good this overall Fulham team are and how generally well everyone is performing on a consistent basis every outing. Yeah, and look, Harrison Reed's another one last night. Had an incredible game, absolutely incredible game. He wasn't in the forefront and wasn't doing anything, I guess grand, But like he always does, he's in there working so hard, making an absolute nuisance of himself, running himself ragged. Even Polina.
Yeah, but again, their standard
yeah.
games, it's just like
Yeah.
it's just pretty excellent. So it's like, at what point does their average just get brought down a lot? You know?
Yeah. I mean, Polina. You know, if he was a new signing last week and that was his first outing, we would be
Totally.
very impressed at how he did.
Yeah.
Similarly, I thought Pereira again had an obviously very, very good game last night. But
I think the word is spoiled. We're just spoiled fans.
Yep. I know how quickly things change.
Mhm.
And on the same vein here, I think this is a quote from Fulham FC Ghana. It says, "Quote me anywhere. Behind every Fulham 3 points, there's a Bert Leno save, and what an important signing." And I couldn't agree more. And again, once again, you know, it's easy to gloss over and overlook keepers always stand out when they screw up and perform poorly and let in a bag of goals. It's very easy and very, very, it's obvious, but you often miss or forget to recognize them when they just regularly do such a great job, even off the ball, just controlling and organizing the back line and just giving them that confidence. But that save, that one moment from the 6-yard box at point blank range was a brilliant. Leno's exceptional at those close range stops. He really is. I think you cannot. Not that anyone does, but you cannot disassociate the success of this season from Bert Leno.
Oh, completely. Like there's been a couple bits of criticism about like him not necessarily like forming a wall properly, like when it comes to like free kicks. But if that's literally the only criticism that we have when it comes to Bert Leno, because his shot stopping and his just presence is so great, I don't care. Like I really don't. Like it's like I will happily take that faux pas with everything else that is Bert Leno. It's everything else is just way more valuable in my opinion.
Yeah. So there's another tweet here, and it's kind of a comment on how do we keep him. It's a tweet from Anthony B. Just can't see how we keep him world class, and this is just a reference to a post from the other 14, once again producing some really great analysis. And this is so damn small, I've outdone myself here, but it's showing the number of the leaders in combined tackles and interception from Bert Leno. I think that's not a new tweet. I think it was from a few days ago, but obviously he's just doing exceptional work at the moment. And then there's another post from the other 14, which is a little table of total saves with breakdown by shots, by shot distance from goalkeepers of the other 14. And, we've got Bert Leno in second place, second only to Brentford there. So, look, I think he's obviously doing absolutely amazing things for us, and no small reason for why we're doing so well. I just want to jump in here and comment on something that's coming from Reece Kemp, which was a follow-on from his question about what do you think we need to be doing now that, or how should we be playing this differently now that we're safe in the Premier League. And his comment is, or his question is, or statement is, I'm hoping that some of the young players push on, like Luke Harris, Pajatsky, and Stansfield. Yeah, look, I think we'd all love to see that. I just dream of becoming a club that, because we're safe, can really start giving the young players, who are obviously massive talents, some time. Having said that, I thought Luke Harris notwithstanding the fact that he's only 17. I thought he was okay when he started against Sunderland. But at 17 years old, he's a massive talent. And rather than sell him on and be very pleased that we've produced a great player out of our academy and made some money on him, I'd really love to keep these guys and find a way to blend them into our squad.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because at really well-established teams like Arsenal, Man City, Man United, it's part of their system to integrate really, really young players in a side that essentially can back them, nourish them, and really get them to a really strong point. And then you see teams like Southampton that essentially need to start younger players just because they don't necessarily have the squad depth, and one works significantly better than the other. I'm not sure if we're fully in the place yet where we can have a regular starting 17-year-old in the same way that we had Sessegnon a couple of years ago. Just because I think it wouldn't necessarily add too much to the team depth at this stage, but I don't know, maybe in a season's time, maybe 2 seasons time, depending on best case scenario, we keep up this ride. I could see us really making some time for Stansfield and Harris. I could see us really getting there, but at this stage, it's just better to focus on the strongest starting lineups that we can.
I think it's fair to say that everyone's been frustrated that we haven't been in a position to be able to give these young guys who are clearly great players the opportunity. And imagine, if we were in this position a couple of years ago, there's a couple of players that went to Liverpool who may never have left, and that's the exciting thing about what could happen if the planets line up, I guess. I just want to move on here, Sam, if I may. This is another tweet. This is really interesting. This was picked up by Fulham Fan News. I don't know how true this is and whether this is a rumor. I guess it is a rumor at the moment because we don't have any facts behind it. But it was retweeted by The River, and it says, Fulham set to go big for Andrea from Fluminense, with a £36 million bid being prepared according to Fulham Transfers.
Jesus.
Well, and I guess there's a bit of a tie-in here for me in terms of is the timing of this related to the fact that we are starting to believe internally now that we really are safe. And offline before we went live, Jack made a comment that, does this mean that we're actually expecting a massive bid for Polina, maybe Robinson? We're going to have a lot of dollars, pounds, in the coffers, and maybe we're ready to go on some very, very big business to take it to the next level with Andre, who, we obviously there was some talk in the January window that he could be coming to us, and I think from memory the way it ended was that Fluminense said that he wasn't for sale, or something like they were prepared to sell him, but they wanted him back on loan for the remainder of the season on the basis that they were prepared to release him next season. And so maybe that's being lined up for next transfer window. So I thought that was pretty exciting.
That is pretty exciting. You've kind of blindsided me with that one. I don't know how to think or feel about this one. That is interesting, though.
At this stage, it's rumor, and it's sort of come out of left field.
I would genuinely much rather us spend a lot of money on key players, though, than a lot of money on individuals. Maybe they won't, maybe they will, but I'd rather spend a lot of money on one than a little bit on 10,
Well, I think I'm feeling that Silva and his team are having incredible success with Portuguese and Spanish, kind of Latin folk in general. And I mean, look, Mooney's probably wasn't that successful, but he's also very, very young. Vinicius, look, he's not doing the business, but he is showing some promise, and there are
like
flashes
Vinicius.
of. I never used the words that I didn't like him. I really want him to be successful, but he's not quite there. He's not the Mitro or Pereira replacement that someone like Andre could be. And I think we are looking like a destination that could be a real haven for these Latin players. And so maybe we could make Andre work. And if he does, that's a big signing if he works for them.
One thing I also really appreciate as well is you mentioned it before. You said the word haven, and I think that's right. For a lot of teams, Southampton are actually really good at it, and Brighton are really good at it as well. They can be used as like a stepping stone to like Brighton, for example, buy relatively unknown players, and then part of their business model is to actually sell them off for a really, really large amount. Doesn't seem to be the case at Fulham. It seems to be like people are coming here to essentially get settled, get stuck into what the team dynamic is and how it all works. And I really, really like that, because I don't like getting attached to players and knowing that they're not going to be there in like a season or two's time. Whereas like I feel that it's a much nicer feeling that we have.
Yeah, this is not a sausage machine in any way. It seems like a very happy club, and it seems like players are really enjoying their time, loving being part of the team and the squad, loving working under Silva. And I think you can see that in their attitude now, how hard they work for each other. So we don't seem like a club that are just looking to flip players and make money on them. If we do, happy days. But having said that, if Andre comes in at 30 odd million pounds, you're not going to make 10 times on him. So I think that doesn't seem to be a signing where they're simply trying to make money. I obviously believe that he's something really, really special, and that he can play a role, and that he's worth the money. But anyway, let's wait and see. Totally. It's a rumor at this stage. So my final tweet is something amusing. As this is one from David Salisbury, Scrumpy Dave 66, retweeted by White Noise once again, who's the most phenomenal retweeter and curator and collector of Fulham content. And this is one I'm sure everyone who loves Fulham knows that Sam Smith, the singer, is a big fan of Fulham, and he seems to be going through a very flamboyant period at the moment. And there's a very interesting shot of Sam Smith's new look at the 2023 Brit Awards. And for those of you listening to the podcast, how do I describe it? He's in like a plastic suit with wings and love hearts for love handles. I'm failing to describe this properly, but it's a really great little funny comment from Dave Salisbury. He says he won't get through the hammy end turnstiles wearing that. And
only criticism I have is it's a they, not a he. But no, it's great. They look like they're in like Alice in Wonderland or something like that. I'm about it. I'm about it.
Yeah. Anyway, so what I wanted to leave us with the Manor Solomon goal, and subject to production nutmegging me once again. I'm going to try and actually play this and just see how we go. It's just a Manor Solomon only highlight reel here. So see.
Great, I'm all about it.
He gets us back to winning ways. Having drawn two, Drawn 1 and lost 2 of our last 3 in the league. There's a foul on Harry Wilson again. He lets play go on. Kenny Tetty finds Pereira, right foot. Here's Manor Solomon.
Yes! Get in there!
Well, I had a feeling he might get his first Fulham goal when they introduced him. Something inside me, I thought he might be the kid to make the difference. He hasn't scored yet, but he's finished that one with aplomb.
Yeah, it's just class. Like what you say, it's just class.
Well, fantastic goal, and once again, I love a bit of gentleman Jim. I always love it when that you get that little bit of voice crack. You know you're onto something special. Yeah. What else you got, Sam?
I mean, well, we could talk a little bit more about Brighton coming up because I think that's actually going to be a serious cracker. I think in terms of like games of the season, that ranks really high. I know we've already toppled them, if you will. But like I'd say them and Brentford are I don't know who Brenton is. Them and Brentford are our closest rivals at the moment, so I'm really excited about that scuff. I'm really excited about that. But I reckon that's probably a better conversation with Jack. And we're at like about an hour and 5 now, so we should probably.
Oh, let's go for 3. I'll go on.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Right. Yeah, I'm not. Okay, no. Clearly you don't have work tomorrow.
No, I think we probably said we probably said an awful lot. Got another comment coming in here from Reese Cam. With Chelsea offloading a lot of players in the summer, are there any you want to sign? Well, that's probably a great setup for our next podcast, actually, Reese. Yeah, look, would we take some Chelsea offcuts? Sure, we're doing pretty fine at the moment with 1 Willian. And whilst we think what we think about Chelsea, I wouldn't be unhappy taking any of their players because I think we do a damn finer job in integrating them into our system and making, getting the best out of them.
Can you give Reese a quick fire of who you might want?
Whew.
It's okay if you need to look at the Chelsea lineup as well.
No, I don't know. I don't know who they're offloading, to be honest. So, yeah, I probably need to see that. But
I think I would probably take up Aubameyang because, like, why not? If he doesn't like come through with the results, that's fine. I'm pretty sure at this stage it's probably going to be a free transfer anyway.
Yeah, look, obviously, Chelsea is an esteemed place in most professional footballers' eyes to have on your CV. They probably pay, well, they do pay pretty tasty wages, and that surely isn't going to be overlooked. But when it all comes down in terms of job satisfaction and, getting up every morning and rolling out to the training ground and hanging with your friends, I think I know where I'd rather be if I was a professional footballer. But I guess it's a career in the end, and if someone's going to offer you, a massive 6 figures every week, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Then it just comes down to integrity, isn't it? Like we can ask Jack about that. He had some tasty integrity opinions, like on the last pod. I thought that was quite funny. So.
Well, I think I read a comment that was it City looking to City or United?
No, it was Ivan Toney. It was Ivan Toney.
No.
Oh, yeah,
I remember the conversation. No, I'm talking about rumors of Harry Kane moving to Man United, wasn't it? Was it Man United?
He's always moving to Man United though.
But
like he's not going anywhere.
But the rumored salary was £400,000 a week that he wants.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a nice house, isn't it? Every week.
I think Haaland's actually on more than that, to be honest.
That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
And Kylian Mbappe's on more than that.
I mean, all credit to them if you can get away with it. Good luck to you, but that's mad.
No, yeah. I mean, look, they're just saying the price, and people are paying for it, so you can't really blame them too much.
Sure. Sure. Well, we'll see it. We'll see about that after the Man City review in a couple of decades' time when that actually is finalised. But more about that later. Anyway, I think it's probably time to wrap up, Sam, and hand this back to our much missed production man who's probably finished his palmy now, and he's probably bored and ready to pick up the MP4 and bundle this into a pretty package to publicize to all of the different channels.
Yeah, I hope the meat sweats are doing him well.
So that was pretty chaotic, and I apologize to everyone who normally expect a bit better and a bit smoother from us, but you know what? It is what it is. We were chucked this at the last minute, and we don't mind. So thanks, Sam, for... sorry, did I interrupt you there?
No. Yeah. You say your thing. I think you were going to pass it back to me anyway.
Yeah, no, I was just going to remind people that, firstly, big shout out to a number of people who've started following us on Twitter. A massive thanks to White Noise, who put the request out there for all of his followers to jump on board and start following the That's So Craven podcast. So we really appreciate that. We really appreciate everyone who follows and listens on a regular basis. Thank you very, very much to William and Reese, who have I missed tonight, who have jumped on and sent some questions in. But really to everyone who listens on a regular basis, we are incredibly grateful. We love what we do, and we're so happy that people seem to enjoy what we do every week. So thanks for sticking with us, and thanks for following. And please like and share and follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and wherever else we might be in your hood.
Yeah, and I just wanted to echo that as well, and I just wanted to further shout out Reese and William, because we see you here every single pod. We notice you. We love having you here, and genuinely, we just really appreciate you guys taking the time to spend it with us. It does mean a lot.
Absolutely.
And if it makes you feel a little bit like better about your day, we are incredibly honored to be a part of that. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, well said, Sammy. Yeah, so I think without further ado, I think it's time to wrap up, Sam, and I'm going to give you the honors of taking us out.
Ooh, come on, you whites.